I'd like to welcome you along to Smith and Walensky for what will hopefully be a very enjoyable and informative evening. We've got a fantastic panel for you, despite the fact that I'm on it. And I'd just like to say well done to all the guys on the sports desk. Hopefully you've all got your copies on your table of the Euro 2016 guide. The boys have really pulled out all the stops this year, and we get so many nice comments. I think it's fair to say that most people do recognise that as the guide. Hopefully it's got all you want in it, 88 pages, but on top of that, we've also got a fantastic panel that will give you even more information. So enjoy your evening. Hopefully we'll send you home with a few winners and a little bit more enlightened and educated on what will be a fantastic tournament. Without further ado, I would like to welcome your host for the evening. From Sky Sports, it's Mr. Ed Chamberlain.
Thank you. Bruce, thanks very much indeed. And first and foremost, I must congratulate you and your team. I think you'll all agree in the room, this is magnificent. This is the Bible for the last few days and the next few weeks as well. Congratulations to you and your team. I love it. And hopefully tonight, as you say, we'll uncover some more gems for you because we've got three absolute football experts and Bruce Millington with us tonight to uncover those gems. And without further ado, we'll introduce you to the first of them. This man, I think you'll agree, is one of the best tactical analysts in football. He's the man behind zonal marking. Please welcome Michael Cox. Next up, the man responsible largely for all of this, the football editor at the Racing Post, the football genius, I think it's fair to say, that is Mark Langdon. Welcome, Mark. And finally, no offence to you three, but our star man, Michael, if you come in there, I'm going to play you centrally, Mark. A man who played for England 30 times, played at two major tournaments. He was a big part of the success at Euro 96, which I look forward to hearing more about. Please give a big welcome to Darren Anderton. Darren, come on in. Welcome aboard.
How are you?
I'll have to first ask you, I imagine all this and the books and the specials that come out at this time of year before a Euros must remind you, doesn't it, of Euro 96. That was a bit special.
Yeah, dentist chair was brilliant. Absolutely.
What happened?
I can't really remember.
I saw a photograph today. Mark Langdon posted on Twitter, and there you are. He's just in the background, isn't he?
He's ducking in, isn't he? He's trying to get the press. Yeah.
But that must have had a galvanising effect on you and the boys.
Well, it did. I think when you play international football, it's a lot of the top players in the country, all with egos, that sort of thing, and all want to do well individually. You've got to make them gel as a team, and I think that's what we don't have these days. The players aren't allowed out. They can't go and mingle and be sociable together. They're in their rooms. They're playing a bit of table tennis or snooker, but proper night out, a little bit of gelling. That's where Terry. We got loads of stick, and then Terry Venables dealt with it brilliantly, and that's where Terry was great. He kept it all behind doors. We all stuck together. We then came home on the plane, and there was the TV was broken, and it sounded like we'd smashed up the plane. Wasn't that way at all. And then you end up staying together, and what sums it up is the goal that Gazza scored against Scotland and the celebration and the fact that we're all there together, and we ended up being like a club team, which you don't get very often in international football.
And it's brilliant to relive this week. If you've seen the documentary,
yeah, it's great.
And all of that's been fantastic. This time around, how do you think England are going to fare?
Well, I think that the squad is a good squad. It's an exciting squad. Lots of good young talent. I've been fortunate enough to see a lot of it at Spurs this year, with the 5 boys being involved, and every chance they could all start come Saturday night, which will be great. It's just a matter of gelling as a team. There's no doubt that they'll get through the group. I think it's a comfortable group for them. And once you get to a knockout stage, anyone can win. And they have the talent to go as far as possibly the semi-finals and maybe more. But you need a little bit of luck along the way as well.
A good, exciting, talented squad for you, Bruce, England?
No, I don't think they're good enough at all. I think that the forwards are decent. I think Harry Kane's excellent. I think he'll have a great tournament. But I think the midfield's poor, both in terms of creativity and protecting a defence that, to be honest, is frighteningly bad. Can you ever remember such a weak set of centre-backs, Darren? In Euro 96, you'd have had Southgate, you'd have had Adams. There were plenty of other good talents. And that's been the same right through to Ferdinand and all those guys as well. I just think this defence is shocking. I don't get. Look, anyone can win, obviously, but I think 8-1, 9-1's a joke price.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think that's fair what you're saying when you look at what we have and that, you know, in depth as well. I mean, who else would you play? I mean, I think John Stones going to be a great player. He's had a tough season at Everton. Confidence isn't high, but I think he's suited to international football, and it doesn't look like he's going to play. But Eric Dyer, he protects the back four really well. And I agree with you. I think that it will need some protecting. Now, will they play just Eric Dyer in there sitting, or will they play two in there? Maybe Wilshere in alongside him, and then get those other attacking flair players to just go and play.
But then also, I think he's boxed himself into a corner with Rooney. I don't think Rooney's anything like up to it. He's going to play him. I think he'll probably, you said, Michael, didn't you? He'll probably play the first game and then biff him. I really do worry. I think that, you know, they'll qualify because the group's so weak.
Every team needs experience and the record that Rooney's got. Surely that's a positive addition to the side.
To me, you've got to judge someone on what they've done over the previous season. And I think Rooney's had a poor season. I think it's a very quiet season. You know, I mean, all right, he played okay in the cup final and he did all right again in a couple of friendlies, but I don't think that's strong enough. And also, where do you play him? I don't think that position behind the strikers is right. I think that's where Dele Alli should play. Honestly, I really do worry about England.
England, we've got the prices up here. Last 16, 2-1. Quarterfinals, 11-4. How do you see them faring?
Yeah, the draw's pretty good. Very comfortable group. And then if you sort of plot it out beyond that, a third-place team probably in the last 16, then you go into the quarterfinals. The way the draw are actually looking at the moment, it would be Portugal or Italy in the quarterfinals. And, you know, we're saying we've got problems, but I think outside of the top 2 or 3, you could go through everybody and say, not got a good defence, not got a forward line. I think that England have got a very good attacking options. A midfield that could, if you get Dyer, Ali and Wilshere.
He says it's useless.
Well, I mean,
It's useless, but I think Dyer and Ali are good. I don't see any other decent
I
players.
I think Wilshere, if you keep him fit, is very good as well. And then it's defence. I mean, you know, there's no case for it at the moment. But they've got a good goalkeeper in Joe Hart. And I mean, you're looking around. Belgium are missing players. You know, you go through the list. I don't think there's a perfect team in this tournament.
England tactics, Michael. What should Roy do, and what do you think he will do?
Well, it's been strange because when he took over, everyone thought he'd be really defensive, play 4-4-2, stick to his old favourites, but he hasn't. He's been very attack-minded. He's brought through lots of youngsters, and he's chopped and changed between systems. Whether they're the right systems, I think, is a different question. But I think the style will cause England problems when they come up against better teams. England can outplay Wales, Russia, Slovakia. I can't see how they're going to outplay Spain, Germany, France. And usually an underdog trumps because they're very defensively good on the counter, they're good at set pieces. Not sure we're defensively good, might be good on the counter. But I think that one of the key lessons from the friendlies has been how poor the set pieces have been. We've taken for granted for 2 decades, we've had Beckham and Gerrard and Baines at points and some other players who are very good at set pieces. And this time around we've got Harry Kane taking corners. Not only can he not really take corners very well, but it means your best centre forward isn't in the box.
This is Dave Watson holding this back for the tournament, I can guarantee you. It'll be a different story. But that obviously is a problem at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's the way that you can beat, you know, a side like Spain. You know, you're not going to outpass them, but if you can catch them, you know, with set pieces, then you've got a chance. But I don't see England as a team that can do that.
So what do you think, when you look at those prices, Michael, if you had to go for one of them, what would you do?
Well, I mean, like Mark said, I think the draw is quite good for England. So I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that we could get to the semi-finals, because I think the first, you know, established team that England are going to come across could be Italy. And Italy don't look in particularly good shape, to be honest. So from those, I think the semi-final is a decent bet.
Semi-finals for you, Darren?
Yeah.
On England? Why do you see no problem with Wales? You said Wales won't cause a problem. Surely they can cause plenty of problems, one individual in particular.
They can potentially cause problems on the counter-attack. I mean, I think Wales are a good side, and I think what Chris Coleman's done very well is he's almost been honest about the relative lack of talent. He's completely based the side around Gareth Bale. I think the way that they use Robson Kanu up front is really interesting. He's not a centre forward, he's a winger, but he's in that side just to make the runs and create space for Bale and Ramsey just behind. I mean, I think Wales have got a very good chance of finishing second in that group, so certainly not underestimating them. But I think England will have too much for them, and I think down the flanks, Wales can be exposed to that wing-back system as well.
Okay, we'll come back to the groups in just a moment. We'll talk about the 2 Irish sides in a moment as well. Just to finish on England for the moment, this is for you, Darren. Who's going to score the goals for England, and who will be the top scorer, do you think?
For me, it has to be Harry Kane. I think he's had a great season. Last year was fantastic. And then people, is it a one-season wonder? Answered the critics, been top goal scorer in the Premier League this season. For me, he can do it all, but when he does get chances, he usually sticks the ball away. He's very cool, calm, strikes it well, right foot, left foot, and he has a great understanding with Dele Alli. So if we can play Dele Alli in the right area...
Okay, so Saturday night, what's the team?
For me, I would love to see Dele Alli playing off of Harry Kane, and Rooney is going to play. There's no doubt about that. I would play the two of them off of Harry Kane. I wouldn't play Jamie Vardy, which is a bit harsh on him because he's had a great season. But I just think you've got to get Ali into the team, playing in the right position. The other night against Portugal, he's stuck out basically playing as a left winger. He's not a left winger.
We could talk about Rooney for hours. I don't want to tonight. Just in a word, do you start him?
Yes.
Would you start him in the second game as well?
Depending on how he does in the first one.
Because Michael, you think you're with Bruce, aren't you? You think he'll start Saturday and then possibly not thereafter?
I think it would be a bold decision to drop him from the outset, considering he's the captain. But if there is one poor performance and you've got players knocking on the door who can play his position with scoring goals, I think he will be under threat.
And Bruce, the bet on England is?
I would back Lallana at a big price to be top scorer. I think he'll be the man who comes in when the Rooney experiment fails. And I think about 20, 25 to 1, I think you might only need one goal to win it. So I thought Lallana might be the man.
Oh, I'd love it if England won it and come back to you. Let's look at the groups. We'll have a spin through the groups. Strong opinions in different groups. Mark, you have first go on Group A. France, Switzerland, Romania, Albania.
Yeah, this one's come out quite nice for the host, isn't it? Yeah, surprise, surprise. I think France will win the group easily. I think 9 points is probably the best bet here. I can see them winning all 3 matches.
What price is that? It's about a 2-1 chance, is it?
Yeah, I think it has been nibbled at now, so you're probably looking more 15 to 8, 7 to 4, unfortunately. But I also think Romania, they've got a player called Stanciu, Stanciu. I fancy him to be top Romanian scorer. He's done very well for Steaua Bucharest this season, and he took their penalties. So I think he may be on penalty duties. I mean, Bruce just mentioned 1 goal could win it for England. I think 1 goal will win it for Romania, and he's definitely the value. I think he's leaving Romania to maybe go to Italy come the end of the season.
That is what tonight is all about. That is brilliant. Michael, Group A, any strong feelings?
I think I agree with a lot of what Mark said. The only thing I'd say is I don't see that much difference between Albania and Romania. So I'm surprised 1 a 9 to 1 and 1 a 25 to 1. The same goes for the overall.
You think Albania could be a bet to get out of the group?
Well, they're very good. I mean, those two sides are both very good defensively. And the nature of the tournament with 3 going through from most groups mean that if you keep 2 clean sheets, you're probably going through. And I think there's a chance of Albania doing that. And again, for the overall market, they're 500 to 1, which is the outside of everyone in the tournament. I don't think they're half as good as Romania. I think they're roughly as good as Romania. So I think they're probably overpriced.
Bruce, that Albanian midfield, are you a fan of them?
Well, I'll ask Mark. I'll whisper in my ear and I'll tell you. No, look, I think the one thing about this group is A, it's extremely weak, and B, I think Switzerland are probably a little bit too short in relation to the other two.
And France, Darren, a side you like, aren't they, reading what you said about the tournament?
I think, of course, they won it in the World Cup in '98, home soil. I think, as Mark said earlier, that all teams have got problems. There's no perfect teams. There's no team that stand out. And being at home, I think, with Pogba, I think he could be player of the tournament, in my opinion. I think he's an unbelievable talent. And it's set up lovely for them, isn't it? You got to say. I mean, they'll win that group comfortably. I have to agree. I think 9 points. Okay,
that's Group A. Michael, you have first dibs back in England's group. Is there any other bets we could have in the group with Russia at 3 to 1, Wales at 5, Slovakia at 9s?
I was looking at England-Wales straight forecast, which I think was 8 to 1, which looks good to me. Russia have been weakened massively by injuries in the centre of midfield.
Another one in the last 24 hours, haven't they? They've lost.
Yeah, exactly. They lost Denisov, having previously lost Zagoev. So that's 2 of their central midfield partnership. They don't have great strength and depth in any position, particularly not in central midfield. So I think, I think Wales are a really good bet to get through. The side is based around Bale, and he's doing all sorts for them. You know, he's not just doing what we're accustomed to for Real Madrid. He's scoring headers. He's scoring with his right foot. He's really leading the side, and I think they're a decent bet to go through. 3 at the back can cause teams problems as well.
Mark, are we right to take on Russia?
Oh yeah, I think that Russia could actually be the big flops actually in this group, possibly even finish in bottom spot despite being second favourites. I really fancy England to beat them on Saturday night. They're just shy of evens at the moment. I can see the market coming towards them, pretty strongly, I think, come kick-off on Saturday. A word for Slovakia. I don't think they're quite as bad as what the odds would suggest either there, really. I mean, Hamšík's a very good player for them from Napoli. And like some of these outsiders, they're reasonably well organised defensively.
Bruce, England-Wales forecast?
England-Slovakia forecast is 7-1. Sounds quite good, doesn't it? I begrudgingly accept England will win this group simply because it's so weak. But really, if you're saying 7-1 to finish, second in a three-horse race, seems decent price.
What about that for an opening game, though? I mean, an opening game of a tournament is never easy, is it?
No.
Switzerland. England-Russia, you say you think the punters will come for England?
Oh, definitely. I mean, they've got,
That's a patriotic punt as much as anything else.
Well, I think the market's more educated now than it used to be in that respect. I mean, you look at that Russian back four, they've got 36-year-old at centre-back alongside a 33-year-old. And then, Ignacevic and Berezutsky were, too old 5 or 6 years ago, too slow. I think England will really get at them. Really, I'm only looking at Dzyuba, the Russian centre-forward, as the only massive threat. Coquelin, I think, is overrated. So I think England will win that one pretty comfortably, I have to say.
And that'd be great. Get the tournament off to a good start.
To start with, isn't it?
Perfect. Saturday night, England-Russia. Group C, Germany. Long odds on at 2-5. Poland 9-2. Ukraine 7-1. Northern Ireland. How are Northern Ireland going to fare?
Well, I think that the one thing that Northern Ireland have got is a great manager. I really like Michael O'Neill. I think he's somebody that's definitely primed to go on to bigger and better things. Maybe I think he's going to stay on for another tournament maybe with Northern Ireland. I can see him managing in the Premier League, or I think Celtic would be a big job for him as well maybe in the future. And they're going to need him to be excellent because I think they've probably landed in one of the worst groups there. I mean, Germany are the team I like outright, but I think that Poland and maybe even Ukraine are pretty solid sides, really. So I think Northern Ireland will finish bottom, but that's no sort of slight on their manager. I think it's excellent.
Northern Ireland for you, Michael. Will they not, with the team spirit they're bound to have, can they not do some damage in that group?
Yeah, I think 25-1 is a little bit harsh on their prospects. I think particularly at centre-back, they play three at the back. I think Cathcart, Evans, are both really, really good players, both really underrated, had great Premier League seasons. Stephen Davis as well, I think is a really underrated player, does a great job for Southampton. And they're going to play on the counter-attack, and Davis is really good in those situations. He knows how to play the ball, he knows what kind of runs to make. 25-1, I think, is decent, actually.
So you think Northern Ireland could be worth a small bet to qualify from the group?
Yeah, to qualify. I mean, they're not going to win the group, but could well get through.
Group C, Bruce.
I think very interesting group this. I think after two fairly weak groups, we've got a really competitive one here. I think Germany are my favourites out of the three fancied teams. I just don't see too many flaws in them, but I think Poland are really, really interesting, progressive side. So I think they'll dominate the group, and I think that game there will tell us a lot about who's going to be going really deep into this tournament. The more I look at Germany and what they did, 2 years ago, and just their mentality, they're just fantastic tournament footballers. I don't see too many weaknesses there.
Are they as good, Germany, now as they were then, Mark?
Oh, well, I suppose that they've lost Philipp Lahm, one of the best fullbacks in the world. But the other two injuries, I mean, Gundogan and Royce were both out of the World Cup anyway. Klose has gone, but I think Mario Gomez has come in and scored a lot of goals in Turkish football. Other than that, it's pretty much the same bunch. I don't really see too many weaknesses outside of fullback. And if you're going to have a weakness in the team, I think fullback is the place to have it.
And the Germans, as Bruce said, are always trouble in these tournaments.
I'm afraid so, yeah. That's what they do. You've got to give them credit. They play good football. I like Poland, though. I think Lewandowski is a top striker, one of the best in the world. In fact, I think he'd be suited to the Premier League. I'm surprised that no one's tried to get him there. He would, wouldn't he? But in terms of Northern Ireland, I just don't see them scoring goals. And I think they've got a great team ethic. They work their socks off. They might nick a couple of draws. You never know. I just can't see them scoring goals.
And for you, Michael, Poland, there's a bit of hype about them, and obviously with Lewandowski as well. Do you buy into that?
Yes, because I think they've got something that not many other teams have got, which is a genuinely good strike partnership. Obviously, Lewandowski's probably the best centre forward in the competition, maybe him or Ibrahimovic. But also Milik did really well in qualification. I think he scored 24 goals for Ajax this season. I don't think he's a great player, but he's quick, and because all the attention is on Lewandowski, he gets the space and he can score goals too.
And what about Ukraine? Because they seem to divide opinion, Michael, at the moment. Some think they'll go well, others think they'll bomb.
I just think they're too predictable. Their best two players are the wingers. They both cut inside and shoot. And I think against opponents of this quality, that's just too easy to play against. You pack the centre, and I'm not sure they've got too much else to harm you with.
Final word on this group. See then, Mark, how do you see it panning out?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't back Germany at these prices. I think if you fancy Germany, you're much better off just steaming into the 9-2 rather than the 2-5 to win this one, because there are a couple of tricky games, but I think that is built into the outright price.
Right, Group D. Spain odds on 4-7. Croatia, who I quite fancy at 3s. Turkey 7s. Czech Republic at 8s. Spain, Darren, are they still a force, having bombed in the World Cup?
They're a force. They've got great players. Iniesta, one of the best midfielders of the last decade in the world.
Is he just starting to...
He can still dominate games, though. But yes, he does need someone alongside him. But if you get him on the ball, he'll run the show. But I'm with you. I like Croatia. Modric, I think, what a player he is. Alongside Rakitic, those two as a pairing, arguably the best pairing of a midfield in the tournament. So I think that they could cause them a few problems. I think Spain are probably a little bit too short.
Can we predict, though, with Spain? Mark, you touched on it in the supplement. It depends who's talking to each other, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Ramos and Piqué have had their issues. Obviously, there's been a lot of, Catalan, sort of pro-Catalan stance from Piqué. Ramos is kind of one of the leaders for Real Madrid. They've got to play next to each other. I mean, it didn't stop Sheringham and Cole, who didn't speak at Manchester United. They still scored a lot of goals when they got on the pitch, but it does...
Neville and Carragher, right?
Well, no. So it just concerns me slightly. One bad result and all that could kind of brew up. It was very well dealt with previously when you had Xavi and Casillas, kind of those leaders of the two clubs that kind of got on for the sake of the team. That would worry me. I think the best bet here is Czech Republic to finish bottom. They've drawn an absolute shocker. Darren's mentioned how good Croatia are. Spain have obviously won the last 2 European Championships, and Turkey have definitely improved since the start of qualifying. They had one or two issues early on. There was a problem with Toprak, the defender, and Çalhanoğlu. They were sharing a hotel room, and somebody burst in, and they thought they were being robbed, but they wasn't being robbed. One of the other players, Toure, had sent like a heavy in to scare the life out of them, because Toprak had ended up with one of the with Toure's ex-girlfriend. So I think that maybe explains why they started
That is
slowly.
information you need ahead of the Euros.
But what happened was, for the next game, the manager, Terim, still picked Toure, Toprak and Çalhanoğlu. And the other two that were obviously scared said, well, we're not playing for Turkey. And he said, well, I'm still picking Toure. If I only pick players who've done nothing wrong, I wouldn't have a squad. So Toprak has refused to play for Turkey. Çalhanoğlu has come back, and I think that's why they started the tournament slowly. They got much better as it went on. I think Czech Republic will do well to get a point. They're not a bad team, but it's just a really tough group.
Tough group, Bruce?
Yeah, I think I might buy bookings in Spain v Czech Republic. The players will be fighting each other and fighting their teammates. Very tough group, because Spain, for all the fact that they're really short up front now, retain a fantastic defence and a midfield that can kill you and knows how to work tournaments well. And I agree with everything that's been said about Croatia. I think they're easily the best value of the teams that are 20-1 and over on the outright. It's all about midfield in international football, and I think that those guys in the middle there are fantastic. Mandzukic does it in tournaments, and I think you can organise most defences not to be too calamitous and let you down. So I think really, I'd back Croatia at 3-1 to win the group. I think it's a big price in probably a two-runner field.
As have I. And Michael, am I right? I mean, we talk about Rakitic and Modric in the centre of that midfield. They'll score goals as well, won't they, Croatia? You've mentioned Mandzukic, but they can score goals from midfield too.
Yeah, Ivan Perisic is a strange player. He always flatters to deceive for Inter Milan. Didn't do that well in the Bundesliga, but whenever he plays for Croatia, he's really good. At the last World Cup, he was a completely different player. He was dynamic, he was quick, he got into the box. So yeah, they've got various sources of goals.
Do you think they'll go well?
I
Come on, Michael.
I think it's a tough group for them, because I think they've got so much quality in midfield, but so have their opponents, and I'm not sure they're going to outplay Spain. I think they might struggle against Turkey as well. And I think if you look at the defence, the centre-backs are very slow. A strange situation there where the manager left out Dejan Lovren because he didn't want to be a backup. And you can kind of understand why, because the centre-backs aren't very good and he deserves his place in the side. So that's a bit of a strange one.
So Spain, good things to win the group for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think they're the best team by a long way.
Final word on the group, Mark?
Well, yeah, I just think Czech Republic to finish bottom. And if you do fancy Spain, you know, it's so important to win the group. So again, a bit like with Germany, I'd rather back them outright than odds-on to win the group. If they get through the group in first spot, they should have a lovely run through to the semi-finals.
The draw is so important, of course. Group E, it's Republic of Ireland time, plenty of Irish in the room. Darren, you go first. How are they going to fare?
I think they're going to struggle. I think it'll be tough for them, unfortunately. It's a tough group, isn't it? I don't see them score. For me, it is.
Belgium not hyped up to be something they're not. Italy are no great shakes.
There's no easy games in there for them, though, is there? And I don't see Ireland scoring goals. That's the problem. I think a lot of these group games, they're going to be tight games anyway. Not a lot of goals, which might actually suit them. But for me, I don't see them winning games in that group. I think it'll be really tough for them.
So you think the Republic will struggle, Bruce?
Well, my chief executive, Alan Byrne, one of Ireland's staunchest supporters, is in the room, and I've got my appraisal next week, so I have to be slightly careful. But I think this is a brutal group. I think most people will think Belgium are the big dangers here. My worry with Belgium is that we get a slightly inflated opinion of them over here because so many of their players are Premier League players, whereas the exact opposite with Italy, almost all local or playing Serie A. I think Italy will be the team to beat here. And Sweden, obviously, when you've got Ibra in your side, can hurt you as well. What I would say with Ireland, though, is that I don't think they're anything like as dour as they've been before in tournaments. I think they'll be more entertaining. I think they'll give all those three teams a good go. But again, you look at Group A and B, they're rubbish, and this is a tough group. So the draw's been really unkind to them.
How will they go about it tactically? Will they do what Bruce says and have a go at the Republic?
I think they will be very cautious to start with, probably play quite narrow, look for...
So Bruce is talking nonsense.
Well, I know, but I think...
I'm only saying because they were so boring before. They'll just be quite boring this time.
But I think they'll probably get to 70 minutes and then open up. They've got a couple of good players potentially to come from the bench, McLean and McGeady, who I think might cause Italy problems. Italy often have problems against quick wingers because you don't really see that style of play in Serie A much. So I think it's going to be a two-pronged approach. They'll kind of open out as games go on.
How will the Republic get on?
I quite like Shane Long to be top Ireland scorer. You would have seen a lot of him this year.
Grateful.
I mean, I thought the game at Spurs, he gave Alderweireld and Vertonghen probably their hardest 90 minutes of the whole season, which is probably why his agent was having dinner with Pochettino the other night. I just think he's their one player really for Ireland. I mean, there's not too many other threats in terms of the goal scoring. In the group, I think Belgium are a fair price actually, odds against Italy. Very strong defensively with the all Juventus, Barzagli, Chiellini, Bonucci with Buffon in goal. But the midfield is shocking without Verratti and Marchisio. And up front, another one of your boys, Ed Pella, who I don't mind him, but...
He's a good-looking boy, to be fair.
Yeah, I think I referred to him as the hunky hitman last time I wrote about him. But
is he leaving as well? Are we losing...
Well, a good tournament and he may be off. But I just don't see who's... I mean, this is a common theme. Who's going to score their goals? Italy, I think they're leaving their best player, Insigne, on the bench. So I think Belgium, with Hazard, De Bruyne and Lukaku as the front three, will win the group.
You're a Belgium fan, Darren. I mean, Hazard's ready to go, isn't he? He's well rested.
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you? He certainly did a turn on Spurs, that's for sure. That was unbelievable, and that's what he's been about. He's a top player. I think he's been shocking this season. But he's got himself going at the end of the year, and as you say, he's got to be ready for it. And I think he'll have a big tournament. I think at the World Cup, they flattered to deceive. I thought that, with all those players that we talk about, but like Bruce said, we see them every week, so we do, we get overexcited about it, I'm sure. But I'm not sure how much they gel as a team. I think they are a lot of very good individuals, and I see maybe there'll be a few problems in their camp. But in players like De Bruyne, I mean, what a player he's been. Great signing. They've got goals in them, whereas I don't think the other three have.
Do you think, Michael, they got the favourites the right way round there? Are you with Belgium or Italy?
I would go with Italy. I mean, it's a really unspectacular side going forward, but they've got the best defence in the competition. I also think they've got the best manager in the competition by far. I think Conte is the only manager in this competition that could walk into a top job, and indeed is going to do so from next season. And I think tactically he's capable of getting the better of any manager in the whole Euros. So I think Italy will go quite well, frustratingly, because I think their attacking options are shocking.
Okay, that's Group E. Group F, Bruce. Group F, not my favourite.
Well, I mean, I think Portugal will be fine here. I mean, the one thing about this is that you know Ronaldo will play all 3 games because he'll be so desperate to win the Golden Boot, the Golden Ball, and keeper of the tournament that he'll play as much as he can. You know, hate him though you might, he's a fantastic footballer. Was it 50 goals in each of the last 5 seasons? It's 50 goals in each of the last 6 seasons. He's ridiculous, you know. How many? He's an absolute freak. And I think that, you know, Portugal, for all that we didn't see the best of them the other day, are decent enough. They're canny. I think they'll be fine in this group. I think they'll win it.
This group is made for you, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, I think the dual forecast here, though, Portugal and Austria to come through 1 and 2, definitely the way to go. Iceland, I thought, were flattered to do so well in qualifying. Teams that are that limited in possession always rely on a lot of luck to win games. You know, if you're getting 20-odd% possession, you need the other team to do poorly, I mean, you know, to win the game. Hungary, arguably the worst team in the competition. I mean, Bruce saw a lot of Kirali, the goalkeeper, in his Palace days, and he's still there. Zoltan Gira pulling the strings in midfield. I quite like Finn Bogason to be top Iceland scorer. He finished the Bundesliga very well, 7 in 14. But I think Portugal and Austria will come through easy. I mean, Austria become kind of the talking horse, and you know I think some people consider them to be the dark horses in the tournament. A lot of Bundesliga talent. You know, David Alaba in midfield, absolutely brilliant player for Bayern Munich. I've spoken to quite a few people though. Portugal being backed outright. I think there's a couple of kind of judges out there that are punting Portugal outright, so it'll be interesting to see how they go. 3 or 4 firms cut them just today, actually, so that there is money around for them.
Are you one of those punters, Michael? Are you a Portugal fan? Are you buying into... Because Austria have been well fancied for a while now.
I think Portugal are the better team than Austria. They're very good defensively, Portugal, as good defensively as I think they've been for the last 10 or 15 years. They don't have creativity, but they do have Ronaldo. I think the interesting thing about this group is, as Mark alluded to, is that I think it's the one group where you can write someone off, because I think Hungary are the worst team in the competition. And I think that means that probably 3 teams will go through, because it's going to come down to goal difference between the best third-place teams, and I think they'll all beat Hungary quite comfortably by 2 or 3 goals. So I think Iceland, not a spectacular team, will probably go through.
Any strong thoughts on Group F, Darren?
No, not really. I mean, it has to be Portugal, doesn't it? Ronaldo to be top goal scorer for them, no doubt. Austria, though, I think they could be the dark horse in the actual tournament, and I think they'll go through. I think the 1-2 there, Portugal to beat Austria in the group.
That sounds like the forecast, the bet to had on that. Right, that's the groups. What we think is going to happen in the groups. Right, time to decide on the outright winner of the tournament. France, 3-1 favourites. Germany, 4-1. Spain, 11-2. Then come England at 9s. Darren, you go first. Who's going to win Euro 2016?
For me, I think it will come down to home advantage with France. I think they've got some top players. Pogba, I think, will be one of the players of the tournament. Griezmann will score goals. I wouldn't be surprised if he was up there in the goal-scoring market as well. So
Martial let loose for the first time in a while as well.
Yeah, exactly. Martial, Payet, free kicks. I mean, I think they've got plenty of ability to score goals, but also they're very good defensively.
Do you worry about them, though, defensively? The fullbacks? I mean, what's the combined age of those 2 fullbacks?
Sanya and Everest.
60-something?
Yeah, 66, 67.
Must be, yeah.
A concern?
It's a concern for me. It's not the only one. I mean, you know, they're talking about Mangala possibly playing at centre half. I mean, if you've backed the 3-1, you'll be watching that from behind the sofa. But they're scoring a lot of goals at the moment. I was going to ask Darren, I mean, what is you played at home in a tournament. I mean, what is that like with the crowd behind you? I mean, how much of a spur is that?
Well, it counts for everything, but it can go the other way as well. I mean, I remember the first game at Euro 96, we were shocking in the first half, but we're 1-0 up, come out in the second half, and you can just, you feel it. The crowd get edgy, you get edgy. And it wasn't until we went on, and obviously we drew that game, we ended up, then played against Scotland, didn't play great, but won the game 2-0, Gazza's goal, and then it all turned on that. And then the game in midweek against Holland, yeah, the crowd were unbelievable, and so were we. So it helps, but it can be a hindrance, but it has to help.
I mean, I like Germany. I just think that they've got the fewest questions to answer, really, having won the World Cup 2 years ago. It's a very settled team. You know, you look at Schweinsteiger, Khedira, Kroos, Mesut Ozil, Thomas Muller, all them guys are still there. Hummels and Boateng, one of the best centre-back pairings in the competition. Manuel Neuer, I think the best goalkeeper in the competition, probably alongside De Gea. I just, maybe full back, but I said earlier, if you're going to have a weakness, let it be full back. I mean, Liverpool won the Champions League with Jimmy Traore at left back. It's not that important a position. And so I think Germany are... I think the fact they've got a difficult group is factored into the price. I can still see them winning that group, and I think they're the best team in the competition.
So France, Germany, Michael?
I think Germany are the best team, but I think Spain are the best price of the favourites. You look at their last 10 knockout games, they haven't conceded a single goal. So they're incredibly difficult to beat. I'm not sure they're going to score that many goals themselves, but one in each game should be enough to do it. So on those odds, I'd take Spain.
We're not helping here, are we?
Well, I just think, Bruce, this tournament is ripe for an upset. I think you can throw a blanket over most of these teams. And I think something at a big price is going to win the tournament, personally.
So difficult. It's an interesting stat that of the last 6 winners of the European Championship, the only one that didn't need a penalty shootout somewhere along the way was Greece, who everyone thinks is the big freak win. So 5 of the last 6 champions have had to survive a penalty shootout. So that shows a huge amount of luck involved. Having the round of 16 throws that into an even more random, element to it. So I think, I think having just one out of the 24 would be, difficult. I'd put a couple of eggs in a couple of baskets. One would be Germany. I echo what the guys say, just strong, got the know-how. It's sickening sometimes, isn't it? Because, we went into the last World Cup and everyone's picking holes in them, and they just keep coming through. And it's not much fun watching Germany win, but if you back them, it's a lot more fun. And I think that the team that will give the most to worry about in the group, Croatia, very big price at coming up to 28-1. So they would be my 2 on the outright.
And what about at a bigger price, Michael? Which of the sides do you think could cause an upset?
As I mentioned earlier, I think Albania 500-1, just because I think the second outside is 250-1. I mean, they're not a very good team, but they're going to keep some clean sheets, I think. And in this tournament, again, with third place going through, I think if you keep 2 clean sheets in your group, you're probably going to go through. And if you can keep more clean sheets in the knockout phase, then you're probably going to get to penalties at least. So I think they can go maybe to quarterfinals, so maybe an each way bet or something like that.
Mark, of the bigger price teams?
Yeah, I mean, I like Poland, of the ones that we're sort of not spoken about. Lewandowski, obviously, is their star attraction, but he's not the only one. Michael said about Milik, so they've got 2 that can score goals up front. Grosicki scored 9 goals in French football from the wing this season, and that's a low-scoring league. You've got Kubo, who plays on the right-hand side at Fiorentina this season. Piszczek's a right-back at Borussia Dortmund. Krychowiak plays holding midfielder for Sevilla.
Don't know.
You got Glick's a Tony Adams-style centre-half. He will head it and kick anybody that's around him as well. I think he's very solid. Couple of decent goalkeeping options, and some of their younger players have been linked with moves away. So Zielinski to Liverpool, there's one as well that sort of Tottenham are looking at. So I think some of these ones that are playing in kind of lesser teams are maybe not as weak as what we maybe think that they are.
And the guys are right, aren't they? When your experience in tournaments, and Bruce mentioned that you need a whole lot of luck in these things.
Yeah, of course.
The round of 16 and onwards.
Well, especially now, once it gets to a knockout competition, the best team doesn't always win. I mean, we see it every year. With the FA Cup, it's you need that luck. So once it gets to that point, teams that can defend well and go through, sneak through, that just adds to your confidence. For me, I agree with the guys. Poland and Croatia, like really good odds to me.
Which leads me to for the Golden Boot. You're a Lewandowski fan, aren't you, for the top goal scorer?
I think he's going to be up there, but for me, Griezmann's the one. The fact that I see them going all the way, he'll be on penalties. He's a great finisher. Plays for Atletico Madrid, a team that aren't overly attacking as such, but scores goals. A great player. I think that he'll be right up there.
It's 7-1 the field, Michael. How tough a market is this?
Yeah, I think it is very tough. I mean, I think the good bets are probably the slight outsiders. My bet is Eden Hazard is 50-1. He's still one of the best players in Europe. He had a very poor season for Chelsea. But even when he went on that run of not scoring, I think 35 club games, he scored 4 and 4 for Belgium because he was, he wanted to play for Belgium the same way against Tottenham at the end of the season. He wanted to play and return to his old self. So he takes penalties. He's given quite a free role in the team. I think 50-1 is a huge price.
That is a good shout, actually.
Yeah, they're the 2 I like, actually. My only issue...
Is there 50 still available?
Yeah, there's still 50s available for Eden Hazard. My one issue with Griezmann, and I've backed Griezmann, is that he played all the matches for Atletico this season, and he only failed to start twice and that includes the Champions League as well. So I'm wondering if he's a little bit tired because Atletico plays such an aggressive way. That they're often chasing the ball. So that would be my only downside to him, because France have got such a lovely draw through to at least the quarterfinals, probably the semis, that he should score a lot of goals. So it would be them two as another outsider, just to give you another option. Maybe Janko of Austria. He's their leading goal scorer in terms of, he'll play the number 9, a lot of creativity in behind, and I think that there's a couple of decent games in there for Austria, against Iceland and Hungary.
Bruce?
I think there's a good thing here. It'll be one in the group stage. There's a lot of very tight groups, but Group F's not very tight at all. I think I've mentioned before, Ronaldo will be doing absolutely everything to grab as much of the limelight as possible, and I just think he'll score enough in the group stage to wrap it up. I think 8-1's a really big price.
Just coming back to France for a second, is Giroud a bit short when you think he's got Martial on one side, the other? You've talked about one side, you've got Martial on the other.
Well, he scored a lot of goals recently, which maybe helps to influence those prices. And in France, they're quite happy to have him instead of Benzema up front, because Giroud tends to play very well for France, maybe better for France than he does Arsenal. One of those strange players. More often than not, they don't deliver on the international scene, but he's somebody, kind of the other way round, really. He plays better for France than Arsenal. I'm not his biggest fan. I don't really fancy him in this market.
You are a Tottenham fan, after all.
That is true.
Player of the tournament, Darren, you think one of the players here stands out a mile, don't you?
Yeah, for me, Pogba. I think he's a great player. Can do everything. Scores goals, creates energy. Playing at home, great draw to get through. Can see them if they go on it and win it, then he'll be the main reason.
Pressure will be on him. You talk about pressure on the home side. Big pressure on him.
Yeah, I think so. But I think he can deal with it. For me, it seems like he's got a good mentality, and an absolute talent. Obviously he was at Manchester United, didn't work out there, and off he went, and he's answered. Did what he had to do. He didn't sulk. He just went on and got on with his career, and he looks like a hell of a player.
How much would he be worth if he has a big tournament?
Oh, he's a £100 million player now, I think. If Real Madrid and Barcelona are serious about if you were sort of computer building the ideal midfielder, you would sort of have just about everything that Pogba's got. Even though he hasn't had, I don't think he had the best season for Juventus, actually. Maybe the pressure of trying to be their number 10 did get to him a little bit early on. But I certainly think if you fancy France to win the tournament, you've got to be on Pogba at 10-1, given that France are 3-1. And since this tournament sort of started in terms of giving out the most, the best player, it's only ever been won by the team that's won the competition. So I think if you fancy France, you've got to be backing Pogba. I fancy Germany, but it's hard to pick out one of their players. They're very much in a holistic approach. Yeah, I don't really see that. Maybe Toni Kroos, he's about 33-1. He controls matches brilliantly, so he'd maybe be the one. But it's hard to pick out a German because it's more about the team ethic.
Ronaldo will be off for his life in this one as well.
He will, but you probably need to get to the final to win this, I think. So I would echo what Mark says. I back Pogba just as a kind of hedge for France, really, because if it is going to be France, then it's more than likely to be him. So I think Pogba's decent value.
Michael, who's going to be the player of the tournament?
Yeah, I'd go Pogba as well. I think you've got to remember it's a vote, and this is a Parisian who potentially could win the tournament in Paris, which would be a sensational story. I think, to underline one of my earlier points, I think it's amazing that Hazard is 50-1 for top scorer, but only 16-1 for player of the tournament. I think that just shows that 50-1 is great value.
Great shout. Right, so that's player of the tournament. Any other specials, Mark, we should be looking at on the tournament itself?
Yeah, I do love the top team goal scorers. I've mentioned a few of them. I've had a Canadian.
What's the Romanian called again?
Stanchu. Yeah. So I've had a Canadian. So that's 20. What's that? Yeah. So I've had all like the doubles, trebles, and everything there. So I'm 5 players. So I've backed Stanchu of Romania, Finn Bogason of Iceland, Shane Long of Ireland, Dizuba of Russia. And there's one more that slipped my mind at the moment. Eden Hazard as well for Belgium, echoing really what Michael said there. I think Hazard can have a really big tournament.
Any other specials, any quirky markets, Michael, that have stood out for you?
I just think backing lots of 0-0s could be very profitable because there's a lot of.
It's going to be a boring tournament.
I do, because I think the expansion has let in 5 or 6 teams that really we're not used to seeing at this kind of tournament. And I think the optimum strategy for them is just playing for 0-0s because they could squeeze through. When it comes to best third place team, it's going to come down to who has the least bad goal difference. So if your goal difference is -1, you know, you're going to go through ahead of someone that's goal difference is -2. So I think if you're 1-0 down against Germany as a weak team, do you go for it and try and get back in the game? Probably not. You just settle for a 1-0 and try and sneak through.
So there's got to be better. Didn't we back a team in the World Cup not to score?
Oh yeah, that
There must be a couple.
Well,
on
yeah,
this.
that one
They
cocked, didn't
scored around the
it?
end.
Iran under 2.5 goals. I think Hungary to score the fewest goals, about 7-1. Struggling to see how they're going to score any, at the moment. So that always helps. So that would be. That's one I like. Also, like from a spread betting point of view, I like selling total offsides. Following on from what. That'll keep you interested for 51 games. But following on from what Michael said, I think teams are going to defend deep. You know, there's probably about 12 teams there that are not trying to win these group stage matches. It's about not losing, particularly the first game, because you're always going to be in it. So I do think it will be low scoring, and with that, a sell of total offsides.
Any quirky ones for us, Bruce?
Group F, high scoring group, I think. I really do think there's a lot of tight stuff there, but I think the group with Portugal produced plenty of goals. I think Hungary sound like they could be shooting fish in a barrel there. So I think that could be the one that produces most. The most hideous bet you'll have is also one of the best value, under 126.5 tournament goals. It's not the sort of bet you want, because when you're sitting down and you're watching two teams that you don't have any emotional attachment to, you don't want to see 0-0, but you might soften the blow of a lot of dull games, as Michael says, by having a decent lump on under 126.5
Sounds like we're in for a terrific tournament, aren't we? Right, best bets of the tournament before we get your questions from the room. Darren, you go first. If you could have one bet on the entire tournament, what would it be?
For me, it would have to be an England one. Top goal scorer, Harry Kane.
5-2.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's good value. I think Rooney is a threat to that because of penalties, but for me, as we said earlier, he might not even be in the team after the first game. So Harry Kane, good value there.
I imagine you'd like that one as well.
Yeah, I mean, I do like Kane. I'd be slightly concerned about him fatigue-wise as well, because he didn't play that well in the European Championship, the under-21s last year, having had a full season at Spurs. For me, one of the best bets anyways, in Group F, Austria and Portugal, dual forecast, so they can come through.
If you allow one bet on the whole tournament, that would be it?
Yeah, I mean, I do like that one, I have to say. But I mean, Stanciu top Romanian, but 7-1 or whatever, I don't really want to give that as my best bet, because, it's still more likely to lose than it is win. I think that the Austria-Portugal one should be odds on, actually. It's odds against at the moment. I mean, Iceland are the third best team, and I think that tells you a lot.
Better the tournament, Michael?
Have I mentioned Eden Hazard at all? Oh, yeah, I think I have.
At 50s.
Yeah, but I think as well, I was going to say Austria-Portugal. I think that's it's just going to happen in that group. I can't see anything else.
Fantastic. Bruce?
Don't want to sound like Morrissey too much, but under 126.5 goals. But more excitingly, I think Lallana a really big price to be top England scorer.
Fantastic. Right, please join me in thanking, firstly, Darren Anderton for joining us tonight. Thank you, Darren. And also Mark, Michael and Bruce. Thanks very much indeed. Thank you. All enjoy a drink.